Infinity Arms to infinity and beyond. What are we doing? Oh, right. Hey, everybody. That's how this works. Hey, everybody. Renegade, 67 and or 68 here with some more Let's Play stream. Fate's Stay Night of the Blind variety. Gosh, I gotta stop taking 3-day breaks. We're streaming on next Wednesday, though, so that should fix this. But what the heck happened? Right. Right. That's okay. We were talking to Saber. She's getting horny. Everyone was horny. Everyone's horny, but no one wants to say anything. Right. Saber's kind of like Shiro because, Saber was like the king and stuff, but doesn't like being the king. And Shiro's kind of, there's the same thing where Shiro considers himself his own king in that he doesn't value his own life. But with the king, that kind of makes sense. With Shiro, he's just like, probably a secretly an evil thing reincarnated from the Grail, and so he hates himself because he knows he's like secretly evil or some deep shit like that. Yep. So yeah, we had a touching moment. Yeah, teenagers, right? Having issues with being a god or a reincarnated evil spirit and not being able to die when you have a death wish. Such mundane teenage shit. Anyways, day 13. Oh, that's right, and he just fell asleep inside the shed, right? Seems like it. Alright, day 13. Infinity Arms. That's the sequel to Arms 2 Electric Arms. This is Arms 3, but it's 13 because that's spooky. Arms 3/13 Infinity Arms. A red hill covered in corpses. A selfless, selfish duo. She sells selfish by the cell shore. What? Ugh. A red hill covered in corpses in a gray sky. That's right, red hill, which means like it's blood, and corpses means they're dead. And I remember thinking, and by remember thinking, I mean I actually checked. I didn't actually remember this, that's why I checked. I remember thinking that this was Saber, potentially another dream, because we keep having dreams about each other. So this is probably us dreaming of Saber, of the one thing from the intro where Saber was above a bunch of corpses. Probably because she killed all of her own people because they all attacked her or whatever, something like that. But then she got injured, and so she's like, hey, I forget which one, because I'm bad with names, at least until I learn them. One of the nights of the round, she was like, hey, go throw my sword in the lake. And then he was like a little shit about it and didn't do it a couple times, but eventually he did it. And now she died or whatever. So this might be that scene with all of the dead people. The heavy clouds drifting away announced the end of the battle. I forgot to take off my hat. Ugh. Yeah, it's that scene. I remember this from the little intro for a couple seconds. I know this scene. This is a scene I've seen many times before. Okay, if this is Shiro, then I didn't realize he'd seen it that many times. This is one of the battles Saber experienced. Okay. These are the remains of battlegrounds so familiar to her, as she is always victorious. Uh-huh. I assume this was the bad one, though, where she lost and stuff, but I guess it could be the good one or whatever. After this, she will return to her castle. The people will celebrate her victory, and they will prepare for the next battle, until the battles are over and they all betray her. Because she is bad politics. Aw, thank you, Tom's Tom. I chose Fate as my Valentine. All of my Valentines are in the game, if you know. I just like to spend time with the waifu. Happy Valentine to all of you watching me, or whatever. And also to all of the Valentines in the game. All of the waifus/husbandos. This is her everyday life. This is but one of the 12 great battles she has gone through. 12? There's an exact number of 12 on great battles. So when you say great battle, like what scale does a battle have to be on for it to be a great battle? Like, a world war is a pretty big scale. Then there's lesser wars, and then there's skirmishes. Is a skirmish a great battle? I doubt it. She's probably had way more than 12 skirmishes. 12 wars? Is that what you mean? What's a battle? That's why she does not bear any memory memories of the victory. It was just another Tuesday for, except if there's 12. 12 isn't that many. Merely accepts it calmly. Okay. I guess by then she must have been so accustomed to winning and all that she doesn't even think about it, even if there was only 12. It needs to be bigger than a large battle, but not as big as a giant battle. I mean, yeah. I think about such random things. Oh, you do? I mean, I thought I was a much more random thinker than you are, Shiro. That is not a dream. It's not? Oh, fuck. Just a cold truth that cannot be changed. Because of her cold demeanor that you have to realize is similar to yourself now. Because she was all like, hey, Shiro, stop being so cold and stuff. And death seekering. Stop being such a death seekerer. From the moment she drew the sword from the stone, she was not human. That is rude. She's totally a human girl, except in the present where she's like, you know, a spirit or whatever. But she's still a girl spirit. You rude pants. Wait a second. Maybe the reason you're saying she's not human and the fact that, you two are so similar, maybe subconsciously you're like, oh, this is my excuse of saying I'm not human. It's okay if I die because I'm not human, because you've been so icky with your own sense of self for so long. And so you equate that to she also felt she wasn't human because you think it's okay because you're not human, but you want her to be human. Therefore, would you use the same wording? Maybe because it's in your dream and you know that nobody is theoretically watching, you're being honest, that you do think of her as not human, but you want to save her from being the not human, but you don't care that much about saving yourself from being the human that is not human? Or not? And if you're becoming a feudal lord like her father, she became a king with many knights. A feudal lord and a king. That's a double whammy. She was called King Arthur, or Artoria, and the girl who tried to become a knight had her life turned around. Uh-huh. Flipped it upside down. No? No? Oh, shoot. What do you mean, no? It is more correct to say that it ended. Rude. I think you can still live a life as a king. Sure, it's probably, you got a lot of responsibilities and all that, but you can still enjoy your responsibilities. And if you don't enjoy them, I would argue you shouldn't be doing the king role, because someone would probably enjoy it and be a good king. Then again, there are probably some people that would enjoy it and be a bad king. So, you won't always get the winners. But I think there's, for every activity in the world, there's someone somewhere, generally, that would enjoy it. Therefore, they should be the one to do it. And usually, the hard part is making sure they have the right morality, especially for being a king. But even Saber didn't end up having the right morality because she was, too much about battle and not enough about caring, looking at what her people were thinking. But at that instant, the girl with childlike features disappeared, and the only existence permitted was that of the King of Knights. I guess it's weirder for her because she had to pretend to be a dude and all that, but, she could have had at least a close personal friendship with some people in private every now and then. I mean, I know it would have been tough, but, shut up. She acted as the son of the king. That is because the one to govern many territories and control the knights had to be male. The only ones who knew that the king was just a girl were her father and the magus. She literally covered herself in steel and sealed that truth for all her life. Why didn't I realize what that meant? Which part? Someone placed before everyone managed to keep her identity secret. Yeah. By hiding it to herself? Is that what you're saying you didn't realize? That's why she doesn't act like the female? Because she knew no one else could treat her like the female? I don't know what suffering she went through, as I'm only watching from a distance, through a dream. Time passes. These must be her memories of the 10 years she spent as a king. Okay. 10 years. Wait, 10 years? Is that new? Just 10? Oh, shoot. Because she was like immortal or whatever, I thought she could have spent like, 50,000 years. I didn't think she would spend 1,000 years, but like 10, that's a very short amount of time. And also thematically fitting with how it's been 10 years since Fate Zero. So, kind of like how in her kingly reign, after 10 years, she got all betrayed and stuff. It makes sense that if she was bad at being a king, people would speak up within a kind of shortish amount of time. And 10 years is kind of shortish. But it's thematically fitting that after the 10-year reign of her being king would be her downfall, but after the 10 years of getting all forked in Fate Zero would be her upfall, or whatever word you would use in this circumstance in Fate's Day Night. Female. Fee-iron. Male man. I'm sorry, what? Iron Man? What are you trying to say? Female Iron Man confirmed for the next... I'm sorry, what am I missing? I don't get the joke, but okay. Oh, FE. Is that like the scientific thing for iron? And that's what you mean by Iron Man? If that's the joke, I'm not scientifically science enough to understand the joke. But I can at least assume that might be the joke, in which case, haha! Being a bad king seems subjective. Everything is subjective. The idea that the sky is blue is subjective. Different people have different colors that they see with their eyes. And the fact that we even call it blue is subjective. Who decided that's what we call blue? Someone else might see that and say, I like to think of that as purple. Because everything is fucking based on some other subjective implication somewhere. Objectivity in general is a lie. Generally, objectivity comes from implied subjectivity. Although Arturia herself definitely thinks so. What? Oh, yeah. I mean, given that people turned on her, 10 years is pretty good. If she went 10 years, that's not terrible. Also, it kind of depends, because sometimes... the ideal king is good in war times and in peace times, but most people aren't that ideal. So generally, you'd have people that are better at the war times and better at the peace times. And so ideally, you'd switch out a king when you switch out times, and you have a couple in backup. But that's another ideal, and people from that time didn't really do that. They were all bloodlines, so, Although, this technically was, this was bloodline, but it wasn't, because it was like whoever pulls the sword, but then she just happened to be her daughter, and his daughter, and happened to pull the sword. It's, yeah. It's pretty crazy. Arthur united Britain in only 10 years before getting backstabbed. Well, united is a strong word. So is states. And kingdom. And Britain. What? There's only one thing common to all of them. Even on the throne, the Iron Throne, yes. Even in a hallway, she always thought of herself as a man. Even on the battlefield, no one talked to her. Because she had to not talk because they would hear her female voice. She could always, she could sound like a Bashonen. I guess because they think of her as this mystic thing that they shouldn't talk to. There's probably some people that just at first didn't want to talk to her because it's like, you're probably a female. Rumors probably spread for a little bit. And she couldn't risk blowing her cover. And she wouldn't know how to talk to them as a male. Because she's not a male, so she didn't know what to do. So, yada, yada, yada. Grew up too fast to be a king? Yeah, probably too early in age to get coronated. Yeah. Even the loud round table filled with the king's tales of bravado falls silent when the king steps in. There's also the fact that the became a little immortal, so in 10 years not really aging was pretty weird. But probably there was a lot of rumors that this guy was a girl, and it was weird, and they knew they had to keep that from the people for peace and stuff, but they were like, this is weird, but the sword shows you, but it's weird. She did what she needed to do, and she needed to protect the country. Yeah, she was good at being a war king. I just don't think she was good at being a peace king, it seems. So that's what it means. She was only idolized. Many knights looked down on Artoria, who looked like a small kid. They did not approve of swearing their sword to her. Uh-huh. Especially if they realized it was a her. Because she drew out the sword that they could not, they had to obey her, at least in form. Uh-huh. Yeah. They just accepted the disgrace, believing that it would pass. And then 10 years later, it didn't pass, so the rebellion happened? Okay. Even if she drew the sword, she's just a child. From a certain point of view, because of the common consensus that, what the fuck, this is a girl, probably. Like, the idea that she's a man is a lie. Also, she's young. Why is she a king? You could argue that that mentality is the problem. And that did fade over time, of course, as we come into the modern age. But the fact that that was the mentality at the time meant that her as a king was almost certainly a bad decision. Like, the best way to get, to get people accepting of people like this are to have them raise their children with thoughts of, oh yeah, these people are great. But, if you have a leader who is of a minority that a lot of people at the time don't like, they'll just raise their kid being like, oh yeah, our leader's a shitty this kind of person. We don't like this kind of person. It'll perpetuate the hatred. Whereas, if the king is actually someone who, the type of person they would want to be a king, theoretically, using the biases, like, oh, you're whatever, a normal, straight white man, whatever it happens to be. But if that person advocates, generally the best way would be if that person advocates for the minorities, that'll maybe help teach the younger generation to be okay with that, and then maybe in future generations, having a king of the minority, or any kind of leader would be okay, and it might work fine, but, as biased as it is at the time, just having the king be female was going to make a lot of people salty and inevitably lead to something gross. Because of preconceived biases that had yet to be slashed out. Even with Merlin's help, she will fail soon enough. When that happens, they need to only take the Holy Sword away from her and reselect the king. That's what most of the knights thought. I see. But she didn't fail, so they had to force her to fail. The results were different. The knight that just entered adulthood was a king without flaw. That's, I think, Shiro's biased perspective. She brought peace to the fighting lords and immediately fought off the invading enemies. But she's still a girl, and we still don't like girls. At least we don't like girls being in charge. Girls are for fucking, not for leading. Of course, it wasn't because of the power of the Holy Sword. Oh, it was because of her wit and cunning as a tactical leader? Is that what you're gonna say? The Holy Sword only protects the king. The king actually does the fighting. Yeah, the weapon is only as good as the user sometimes, not always. Sometimes you get things like the Death Note, where it's even if you get someone kind of stupid, the Death Note's still pretty good, as long as you're not too stupid. It is the king's power that protects the country. And in that way, she suppressed the knights with results. The prediction of the Holy Sword works only against enemies. The protection of the Holy Sword works only against enemy swords. Huh? How does that work? Is it some kind of thing where when it was built do you mean the type of steel that it was made with, or the furnace was it protected against enemy swords but not Britishian swords? That's very, I don't know even why I said it that way, but probably because I'm used to something like American, and then I say Britishian, and I'm like, what? Just say Britain, but I wanted to say the British part, so anyways. Weird. That's very weird and selective and fantasy-esque and weird. Does not help rule over people's hearts. Oh, I thought you were saying it doesn't work against allied swords. You know, that's the wording made me think that. But okay, gotcha. See, my mind went in the complete wrong direction based on the words that you were using. She worked hard to be an ideal king. But she would never be an ideal king in that time period as a woman, so. And so the knights had to follow their king. They suppressed their dissatisfaction with the young king as they saw he was perfect. Yes, he. She tried to be an ideal king. It's a tragedy because it never would have worked. And it didn't because she got, you know, assassinated. Well, they didn't quite succeed, but it was a fatal wound. Being an ideal king was the condition of their support. There was no room for the human Artoria. Yeah, can be argued. But the fucking sword. That's weird, though. Because, like, her father was the previous king, and she pulls the sword. That's weird. Like, the legends, from what I remember of the legends of all that shit and sham of King Arthur, is where King Arthur was, like, a nobody, and they pulled the sword, and that made them a somebody. This kind of lore is weird, because apparently their father was the king anyways? That's kind of odd. Ugh. The girl determined to be king. A great knight who pulled out the holy sword, who did not age from that moment on, and one who won 12 great battles. Only great battles, though. You know, she probably won like 5 large battles, 5 medium-sized battles, 20 small battles, maybe 1 skirmish. Cast away her emotions to do what she needed, like Shiro to be a hero. Every time I see Shiro in Hero, it gives me a little chuckle. At least on the inside, even if I don't show it outside. Yeah, but that's, you know, it's a different situation, I would say. Because, you know, the whole being a king, not doing the emotion thing. That makes sense, especially because she was a woman and, you know, probably shouldn't have been king in the first place. But Shiro with the hero thing, that's something he's putting on himself. It's not like, oh, I have superpowers, so I have the responsibility to have to be a hero, which means I have to disregard my emotions. No, he was just like, I don't really have powers, I'm not a very good mage, but I'm going to be a superhero. His emotions kind of came pre-discarded, it seems to me. They always felt like they were pre-discarded, and he's seeking that vindication by being a hero. I feel like Saber actually was trying to do the best she could. And she was thrust into this circumstance that she maybe didn't want, but she's like, hey, this is me, I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna do it good. Shiro is trying to leap into this circumstance because he thinks it'll give him some form of happiness, but I'm pretty sure he's gonna be met with failure. Yeah, exactly. Why I said, Arturia knowingly shed emotions. Shiro kind of just seems like he's always not had them. Or rather, he's been seeking the vindication of feeling good. He wants that feeling good feeling that Kiritsugu had when he saved Shiro. He's trying to emulate that. That's why he wants to be a hero. And everything else is just convincing himself and others that he's not kind of a dick. The longer she stayed that way, the more isolated she became. It is a fascinating concept, the idea of, wait, I'm a bad person. If I think I'm a bad person, does that make me bad? Or does it make me good if I realize that I'm bad? This is an even more interesting take because that's sort of deep down instead of on the surface. But on the surface, yeah, on the surface they look kind of similar. But I think that's, you know, it's sort of a herring. There's deeper undertones. The longer she stayed that way, the more isolated she became. That was her true identity. Batman? Her true identity is being isolated? No, I guess if that's all she ever does. The true identity was deep down. It's the thing that Shiro is saving in the present. That's one way he's being a real hero, even if he doesn't realize it because he's too dense. And he's thinking about literally being a hero because he's after that satisfaction. But really, the most satisfaction he's got seems to be when he's with Saber. Which, yeah, that's the biggest hero win for him. He's gotten Saber out of her shell. He's not thinking about heroism in that way, but, you know, that seems to give him the most satisfaction. And he's earned that satisfaction since he got her out of her isolated shell. He just, you know, needs to realize that that's what he did and try to do that more, and maybe he'll actually find his happiness, as it were. That's his calling, not saving people with fighting and stuff, saving people with his penis. With words, so that they can want his penis. The lore of his penis. She still did well. No, she did too well. They were like, how dare a female do this well? Jerk. Only males are supposed to be the good king. If you're a good king, you can't be. Which was fine back when it was fight time. But when peacetime happened, they're like, no, you are challenging my biases and I don't like it. She defeated her enemies efficiently and minimized the victims in battle. No matter what kind of a war it is, a battle will have victims. So she believes she should make sacrifices before the war to prepare the army and to defeat the enemy efficiently. Wait, hold on. So she got like cold? Is that what you're saying? Like she got like, oh yeah, any sacrifice? Oh, that sounds like, yeah, I'm gonna fucking kill Rin kind of thing. No matter what kind of a war it is, a battle will have victims. So she believed she should make sacrifices before the war to prepare the army. Wait, do you mean like, okay, how cold are we getting? Are we getting cold to the point of I'm gonna kill someone and make it look like the bad guys did it to rile up my troops? Is that what you mean? Because that is, you know, can be a decent tactic, but it's pretty cold. She would exhaust one village to prepare the army, defeat the invaders before they could damage the land, and save 10 villages. Okay, that's not as cold, but I understand. Okay, so she would like she would overwork them. Freaking overwork conditions, even back in the day they were bad. Not just today, I mean especially back in the day. Especially with slavery. That was the solution she came up with as the king, and in truth, it was the best policy. Debatable. But the knights must have been unhappy. Yeah. So it makes sense that Kiritsugu it makes sense that Kiritsugu summoned her too, because Kiritsugu, you know, has all those issues. Shiro, on the surface, is like not as bad as Kiritsugu, but it's like Kiritsugu, beneath the waves, is a much better person. He's just more broken. Where Shiro kind of is pre-broken, but on the surface doesn't even seem broken. Yeah, Saber was like her master in some ways in both wars. Indeed. I guess the idea was, in Fate Zero, when she was summoned to that war, you know, because she could afford to take everything on herself, because she really was, you know, a mythic kind of king-like being, unlike in, when she was alive and did all those cruel things. Maybe she's like, well, I don't have to do all the cruel things in this war. We can just focus on the servants because, you know, we're the best fighters and stuff. And unlike when I was a king, this is a more smaller, simple war. We can leave the casualties out of it. But then Kiritsugu was basically the worst person to summon her if that was going to be her mentality going into it. And then it sort of did a flip-flop with Shiro kind of reversing the scales because Kiritsugu had reversed the scales to do like a whole swingy pendulum. But the knights must have been unhappy. For them, only the invader should die. It was only proper to win without allowing any victims. Well, I mean, come on. A war is going to have victims. But okay. But you're just looking for an excuse, really. The knights just want an excuse to not like their king. That's what it is. They found the excuse. They latched onto it. Any little thing, in any way you're not perfect, they'll find it and they'll use it. There's no need to sacrifice one's own territory before a battle. Need is an iffy thing. You can say that in hindsight, but... We will win, so there will not be any victims. Well, that's a pompous attitude. So is women can't be leaders, but, you know, it's the times. There will not be any victims, so the king's actions are fruitless. That's what they thought. Nah, it's an excuse. They wanted to think something bad of their king. That's what they chose to think. Of course, that was just a fantasy. Once the battle began, the knights did not think about the small villages. It was only natural for them to trample over them, as the small villages are not what they seek to protect. They want to protect their manliness and their manlyhood and the fact that they have positions of power because they are men, and they don't want women vying for those positions of power. They were born into the right demographic to have these positions of power, and they don't want anyone else messing with their station. The knights say it is only natural to be destroyed by the invaders, but it is a great sin to destroy them with our own hands. Okay, that sounds like too honorable. Like, the only honorable thing to do is die. What? Of course, she knew that. But a king cannot allow her personal feelings to affect her decisions. Depends. She kills her emotions to make a decision, and the knights suppress their personal feelings to obey. And after many sacrifices and continuing victories, the country became stable. The price of that was a revolt against the king. Sure. King Arthur doesn't understand human feelings. I think the heart of it, even if there's truth to that, is that King Arthur is a woman, or King Arthur doesn't deserve, all that whole thing. The rumors, even if, the general populace might not have known, there would have been huge rumors floating around anyone who was close to her. One knight said so and left the castle. It's a ridiculous story. Nobody wanted her to be human, but they revolted against her because she didn't have a human's feelings. Uh-huh. The age of chaos continues. The age of chaos? The knights, who had been dissatisfied with the king for some time, became more dissatisfied after that one knight left. Was that Lancelot, or is that not the entire... Anyways. She was too perfect? Yeah, I don't know if I would go with she was too perfect. I know I know Saber's your I was about to say, I know Inuhanyu your favorite Saber. Sacrificing a village for the sake of the war is not perfect. It depends on your definition of perfect, I guess. If you mean realistically perfect, maybe. But, perfect would be not sacrificing anyone. That's not realistic, but, they didn't care about that, especially when their preconceived notions were being challenged by a woman being the king. They pushed all problems onto her and cornered her. Ruin was in sight. Death if she could not solve all the problems. Even if she did solve them, the result would be the same. But such trivial things are of no concern to a king. Her mind will not change even if she is abandoned, feared, or betrayed. You're too far gone at that point. I mean, if you're abandoned, feared, and betrayed, then your country can't exactly prosper anymore. You should see a coup like this coming and step down as leader, really. Or try to sway opinion somehow. I don't know. It's complicated. The times were different. Kind of hard to say what the best move would have been, but... Probably because she had her mind made up long before. Yeah, too long before. She was too young. She wasn't ready to deal with all the different things and still keep her humanity. So it broke her. She abandoned her emotions from the moment she decided to pull out the sword. A scene from a few years before. Knights from all over the country gathered to try to pull out the sword and the stone. But nobody could pull it out, and the knights were desperate to choose the most superior king by competing jousting skills. The knights went to the arena and forgot about the sword. Of course, if the sword didn't choose them, then it must be broken. So let's have a jousting thing that we can actually tangibly understand the outcome of. It felt much more like watching a festival from a distance. In the distance are the brave sounds of the cavalry. The roars of the knights are far away and there's no one around the stone. What did the girl think before that? Before she realized it, an unknown magus was standing behind her. This should be Archer.
それを手に取る前にきちんと考えた方がいい。
You should think this through before you grab that. He says he is not trying to frighten her, but that she should stop, because of that responsibility. Interesting. What is Archer's deal? Nobody knows who Archer is. I don't think Archer is Merlin. I think she referred to Merlin as being someone else at some other time, so I don't think that's true. Nobody seems to know who Archer is, or at least Ilya doesn't know who Archer is, even though he's like OP as fuck. Based on Rin's time distillation, it makes me think either he's from the future or from an alternate timeline. So either the Archer that this Saber is talking to traveled here from the future with some kind of, I don't know, Grail way? Or he becomes a nobody in this timeline, but in an alternate timeline, maybe in an alternate timeline he pulls the sword and becomes the epic, amazing, awesome overlord. And so there's like a friction there. According to legend, this should be Merlin. No, legend's not the same thing as fate. I distinctly remember earlier on, in a flashback, Saber, or Shiro in Saber's memories was like, oh yeah, Merlin or whatever, and referred to Merlin, and then said, this weird Magus I don't know, as two separate people. So he says he's not trying to frighten her, but that she should stop.
それを手にしたが最後、君は人間ではなくなるよ。
You will not be human once you take hold of the sword. Okay. He also said that she would be resented by all humanity and die a miserable death, because he can see the future. Because he's been to the future! Time traveler? Or he's done something similar in the past. But that would involve dying in the past. What if... No, because Grail Wars have been waged for a long time, right? Were Grail Wars going on? No, I don't think so. They're relatively recent. I don't think Grail Wars were going on during the time of this thing. One idea I had was that he's a hero from like way back and was summoned for one of the olden days Grail Wars, and he won, and his wish was to become like corporeal or whatever, to get his real body back. And then he talked to her like this, saying that that's what he went through back when he was alive, before he was summoned by the Grail, and then he died again. So it's like a double death. So we're like summoning the double version of him. I don't know. And that's part of the memory fucky, because he's already been summoned and then died and then summoned again. He also said that she would be resented by all humanity and die a miserable death. I mean, yeah, that's what happened. She could not have been without fear. It's the 5th proper war, but like, there have been, to my understanding, before the actual wars like this happened, they fought over it in other ways. I don't know the whole thing, but this Grail, I don't know, because that's right, 7 mages got together or whatever and summoned it with their powers. But is it not impossible that there could be wars like this in the distant past that modern scholars don't know about? It's possible that or modern maguses maybe don't know that way back in the day, the Grail was another thing that was here, and they didn't know about it because it's been so long, and therefore she could not have been without fear. Because the Magus showed her the end she would face if she took the sword. Okay. The Magus showed her, as if like showing her a projection of the future with caster magic, or with like, because he's the Magus, or just because he knew the future.
Yeah.
No? Oh? But that just made the girl more determined. Really? That seems odd. She nodded firmly, even when she was shown her future. Maybe because it's like that means she knows that she will be able to pull it, and if she's the one who has to pull it, then that means she's the one who's supposed to be king, that kind of thing. So it could be that the moment he showed her is he doomed her to pulling it, whereas otherwise she might not have pulled it. That's a especially sketchy thought. Yeah, it ain't even the proper Grail. What is the proper Grail? The Grail is just something from fairy tale they decided to call, the Grail or whatever. The Magus asked her if she is really fine with that.
多くの人が笑っていました。
Maybe people were smiling. I'm sorry, what? Which people? Who's smiling?
それはきっと間違いではないと思います。
I do not believe it will be a mistake. Maybe people were smiling? Like, were they smiling or weren't they? There's a kind of a distinction, generally speaking. Not always. Sometimes smiles are kind of hard to tell, but maybe people were smiling. So you're saying that you understand you're going to be betrayed. That makes it even worse. That makes it a lot more understandable to turn off your emotions, especially if you're expecting to get betrayed. It's awkward, but I guess the idea is that, well, I'm going to get betrayed, but 10 years, people are happy for a while. I don't know how much he showed her, but, so sure, whatever, I'll do it. That kind of thing. She takes the sword. The Magus turns his back.
奇跡には代償が必要だ。君はその一番大切なものを引き換えにするだろう。
It won't be a mistake because people were happy? Not everyone was happy. The villages that got fucked over were not happy. So, and they do say one person's happiness usually comes at the cost of another. But, there's variance to that whole thing. A miracle has a price. In exchange, you will lose the thing most important to you. What's most important to her? Femininity? Is that most important to her? She got summoned into the present time where females are treated very differently. So, is that even how she valued her femininity in the past? And leaves those prophetic words. That's right. The girl only wanted to protect everyone. But to do so, she had to throw away the emotion of wanting to protect people. That is very fitting with Kiritsugu. Because one cannot protect a country as king if one has human emotions. Water. She accepted it and pulled out the sword. She accepted it and swore to live as the king. So her heart would not change even if she was abandoned, feared, or betrayed. She threw away her heart. Like she was prepared to be betrayed. That's kind of fucked up. That almost makes it a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like maybe if she didn't expect it, she could have avoided it. Probably not, all things considered. But the fact that she expected it means she maybe didn't do anything. If she saw it coming, she didn't even bother trying to do things different to maybe, make it, not betrayed. She's like, no, it's going to happen, whatever. I've accepted it because people are happy for a while. That's, kind of fucked in a way. The young girl decided to protect in exchange for it. Who would ever know of such a sublime oath?
戦うと決めた。
She chose to fight. Oh, are you talking to me in your dream? In my dream? About you? No matter what.
それでも戦うと決めたのだ。
She still chose to fight. Even if there was inevitable solitarity ruin waiting at the end. At the end was this. Wait. But she disagrees now with the outcome, right? That's interesting, because she was betrayed and was waiting for the betrayal, and yet, from what I understand of her wish from Fate Zero, it seems like she had character development, and realized, or something, or maybe not realized, but just changed her opinion, because her whole wish was like about a do-over, more or less. And I suppose the idea of that is, the idea of that from a non-progressive standpoint is that she threw away her emotions. She's just going to be king. That's all she's going to do. She gets brought back for the Grail War. Oh, second chance of being king. Probably get betrayed again, but whatever. It's my duty to just be the best king. But the progressive standpoint would be bring them back and do it right this time. But maybe the idea is that, with the emotions she gets in Fate's Day Night, if her wish comes true, and if her wish is the same, maybe it will be more of a do it right this time, whereas before this is just my calls, I have to do it. She seemed very broken up in Fate Zero about the whole, wish thing and wanting the wish to be a wish. But that's probably because she was so broken I guess that would be because she's so broken as a person that she steadfast believes in, okay, I'm going to do this because this is the correct thing to do as the king of those people at that time. It lasts longer than 10 years. Yeah, but she expected the betrayal. That's what doesn't jive with me. If she wants to do it longer than 10 years, that already feels like she had a realization before even meeting Shiro. So my thought is more of a dark thought of, well, she's probably going to get betrayed again. But that doesn't really jive with her characterization entirely in Fate Zero. But I think it's a little layered, though. It's a bit of both, because maybe there was a bit of realization and wanting to do things differently, but then closing herself off because, trying to do Fate Zero in kind of a more family-friendly way, let's call it that, to compared to how she did her actual real-life wars, didn't really work out, and Kiritsugu re-hardened her. And then, so going into Fate's Day Night, she was back to being, stone-cold bitch. And then meet Shiro, who unstone-colds her, even though she sort of unstone-colded herself, but not to this extreme. Something like that. And the end was this. Maybe she doesn't think she's good to be king now? Yeah, would that even be her wish anymore? If it brings it back just to, fuck everything up. That's, Or again, because she's accepting her emotions, does that mean she's throwing away the idea of becoming the king again? Will she develop and change her wish, or keep the wish? The Battle of Kamlan. One knight usurped the throne while King Arthur was on a campaign. Her country split into two and a war began. Which knight? Are we talking about Lancelot or someone else? And the legend is said that... you fucking don't name names. And the legend is said that knights and chivalry were utterly destroyed. I mean, you sometimes name names. You did mention that one of the knights threw my sword into the lake. You did name names that time, even though I've forgotten the name that you named. She slashed away the knights that once followed her and attacked the lands she once protected. That's, really, yeah, that's really fucked. It's like, I am okay with being betrayed, but she turned off her emotions so much that she's like, well, the best way to continue... Okay, I could see this leading into Fate Zero, never mind. I hadn't really comprehended that, it split the country in two. I thought it was just like a secret assassination or whatever. One knight usurped the throne while King Arthur was on a campaign. Her country was split in two and a war began. Said that the knights and chivalry were utterly destroyed. She slashed away the knights that once followed her and attacked the land she once protected. She became her country's own worst enemy because she was so disillusioned to, well, I have to protect the country at all costs or whatever. Even if I'm betrayed, I guess this is the betrayal. I have to keep protecting my country. But so many people turned against her that she slashed away all of her would-be citizens. Which is the point of definitely, I think, self-realization that, yeah, you weren't a very good king. At least not by the end there. And so I could see her wish of wanting to fix that, at least, sure. The knights who sided with her died, and her body was crippled. There was nobody around her. Okay, yeah, I can see that. That makes sense. That's normal. Nothing has changed. That's not fucking normal. You only say it's normal because you expected it because your freaking Magus gave you a prediction. The only thing in her heart is her pride as the king. Well, throw your fucking pride away. It didn't do anything good in this case. She knew of this end. Exactly. That's what makes it so bad. It became this bad because she expected it. Frickin' heck. She still ran through her life because she believed something came of it. Well, sure, there was, happy, fun times for a lot of people during those 10 years. Is the end of it being complete shit worth the 10 years being good? That's a debate to be had for sure, but for those that had a happy life and died by the end of the 10 years, maybe. But 10 years is nobody's lifespan, at least nobody's proper lifespan. Nobody lives and dies by the age of 10. Therefore, everyone either started their lives in the happy time, only for it to go to shit, or had their middle lives in the happy times, only for it to go to shit, or maybe they ended their lives in the happy times, but they were probably so unhappy for the rest of it that who gives a shit? Or something along those lines. 10 years is not that long in the grand scheme of things, so. She has no regrets. That in itself is a problem. If there's one regret, is that the country is in ruin. Yeah, I think that should be a regret. She raises her eyes. She might be able to see the distant castle from this hill. But all that's there is the remains of the battle, a deep forest, and a lake she must return to. God. It's like you're told you're the chosen one, but also, by the way, you die in 10 years. I don't know if she was told 10 years, but yeah. That's so fucked up. That's so fucked up. I feel bad for Saber, but also, that's so fucked up. Like, to be told, oh, by the way, you're the chosen one. If you pick this sword, you're the chosen one, and you'll do great things. But you die at the end of the story, by the way. You could just not pick the sword, and, the king could be a bad person, and we'll just have, shitty rule for the next few years. But if you pick the sword, things will be great for a few years, but then you'll die, and everything will go to shit. Do you pick the sword? That's a fucking moral quandary. If I was told that, I mean, me with my personality, I would not be a good king, I don't think. But, if I was told that and believed I would be a good king, and then in that context of, oh, you go to shit later, I'd be like, no thanks, I'm just not gonna pick it, I'm gonna live my life, thanks. Got thrown in the deep pool way too fast. Yeah, and that relates to me in real life. I almost drowned once as a kid. I don't like water. I like drinking water sometimes. I don't even like drinking water very much. I only like drinking water when I do these recording and streaming sessions. I generally prefer like juice or milk when I'm drinking casually. Water's just better for keeping the throat salivated without having too much sugar by having too much milk or juice. The hill she ran through was now a wall she could not climb over. Strength escapes her shoulders, and for the first time the girl lets go of the holy sword by her own will. You didn't fight it because you knew it was coming and accepted it, dang it! Well... That's so fucked up. That's so fucked up for the freaking Magus to be like, you'll go to ruin. I mean... it'd be one... I get the idea is that he was maybe trying to help her because he saw that she'd go to ruin. But, if you're a really good Magus, you can see that she's going to be the type of person that's going to say yes anyway, which is so fucking fucked. That is the end. That's so sad. I feel extra bad for Saber now. Wow. It's only natural for the dream to end there. Because that is the end of her memories. Yeah. Her story is over. But no, it's not, because fate exists. So this is one end that cannot be changed. Except the Grail has hoobie-doobie magic. So she wants to change it. She worked so hard, she was resented, and she was betrayed. And that, okay, she wants to change that. I don't think she wants to change it quite in the same way that Shiro does. But Shiro seems to, if he has any wish, it's the same thing of changing the thing. But Saber coming up to Shiro and saying we're the same, I don't think is quite the same thing. Because, for a few reasons. But one of them is that, like, Saber wants to do that whole thing over so it doesn't get fucked, I think is the idea. Whereas Shiro, like, he was never a playing factor. He didn't really have input in the situation in the first place, as far as I know. He just got thrust into it without knowing what the heck was anything. And so, Saber, arguably, you know, I don't know. Like Saber going back to fix that versus Shiro going back and possibly going back to literally fix that is different ends of the spectrum. Like, because Saber has had her character development, and that's, well, yeah, I guess that's the point. But Shiro wasn't given any kind of prediction that, you know, you're gonna go to shit. Arguably, except for what Saber's giving her right now, which is kind of a fucked up, self-fulfilling, you got a fucked up prophecy, now you're giving Shiro a prophecy. I mean, it's not a literal prophecy this time, but it's kind of stupid that, like, I don't know, to me at least, that's so terrible that she was given that prophecy and then did it anyways. So, like, she then went out of her way to give Shiro, I know it's not a real prophecy this time, but, she's like, you will go to ruin. It was like, oh, well, gee, thanks. Thanks for that. And I get the idea is that that suggests that she understands now that that was bad and she should go on a different path. But I think that's a false start. I think that's a red herring. I think she thinks they're that similar, but I don't think they're that similar. I think Shiro's more of a Kirei than he is a Saber. No one ever realized that she loved the people more than the country, and she was always the merciless king. She was never rewarded or understood. Well, you don't need to reward the superhero slash king. Well, I mean, no, actually kings tend to be rewarded quite a bit. I mean, you know, they have responsibilities, but, you know, usually kings, you know, if they want to have booze, they want to have the ladies, want to have the men, want to have the whatever. Depends, I guess, on the country and the type of kingdom, but which is different from superheroes where you generally, some of them have that. Iron Man was kind of revolutionary in that he was like, yeah, fuck it, I'm Iron Man, let's party. You know, in terms of revolutionary, in terms of, you know, the film scene, comics. I haven't seen much of the comics, but what was I saying? Right, superheroes have to hide their identity, so they're generally not showered with rewards or understanding or praise or whatever. But some superheroes don't have their identities, which, you know, is a bit of a different circumstance. Do you even know much about Kirei? I have seen Fate Zero, and I kind of get an understanding of him, I think. And I think I know things that he may do in this game, or maybe I don't. But I know the Fate Zero to an extent. And I know that, you know, Kirei was a Kirei. And he was an interesting Kirei. And to me, if I'm gonna make a gut call, it's that Shiro's more of a Kirei than he is a Saber. And maybe the ultimate goal is to make it so that he does not go on the path that Kirei ultimately ended up on. And I think that's the dark future version of Shiro. If he was to go on the same path he's on now, he would end up as a Kirei. Or the Red Hill of Swords, the solitary girl who was always betrayed, is about to face death. Let's just use them all as verbs and adjectives. We need him to not be, like, he's not a Saber, he's a Kirei, but he shouldn't be a Kirei. But if he was an Ilya or partially a Rin, then maybe if he could be a Kiritsugu while also being a Clark Kent. I wake up to the sound of the rain. Connor Nelson. It's morning. Oh, fuck. I hold my shaking head and get my body up. It's not 6 yet. The sound of rain from outside isn't that loud. Silly, Shiro. It's past 6. We're down to 4 already. That dream. No, I don't even need to confirm it. Oh god, we've got the intro song playing. It gets all fancy now. That was Saber's past. It was the end of her life that happened a long time ago that cannot be changed. This double entendre, though. Saber wants to change that. Shiro wants to change that. It seems like this is going to become a time travel plot. And I love time travel plots, but I'm not sure how time travel-y it's going to be. Generally, time travel, usually my opinions on the time travel idea is that I like stories that are about time travel, that use it as a focus, where it's not like shoehorned. Usually I would say, well, we're this far and I think it's a bit late for time travel. But I object, but I'd be okay with it for a couple reasons. Number one, we have this Grail, which we know we can grant wishes, and when wishes are on the table, you know, you're kind of open to some weird possibilities. But B, they seem to be seeding the time travel thing for quite some time, so, yeah, usually, if time travel was a thing, I would be used to it happening earlier in the story, if at all, and if it doesn't, it generally comes off as, an out-of-nowhere bogus plot twist. But at this point, it's been seeded for so long that I'll actually be more surprised if it doesn't happen. Dash, dash. Before I realize it, I'm gritting my teeth. It's making a sound. Somehow I'm really angry. Oh no. Damn it, what was that? Which part? Archer? Or the dream part? One of the parts of the... Or do you mean the black spire in the fire? You mean that? Being like, what the heck was that? Just remembering it makes me mad. Which part? Her past, her thinking nothing of it, and me thinking the dream was nothing. Well, oh, I get it. You're challenging your own lack of emotions. Because she thought nothing, and you think nothing, but you're like, no, I shouldn't think nothing because I like Saber. And that gives you your joy. So you're challenging your own challenges to be challenged. Excuse me. Ellipses! Exclamation point. I don't like it. Oh shoot, self-realization that you don't like yourself? I don't know what I don't like about it, but I just don't. You don't like that you feel nothing? That's a good usually. I hate it. Which, do you mean you just hate the idea in general that Saber had a bad time? Or you hate your feelings about it? I don't want that. That life was unfair no matter how you look at it. That is a correct assessment. Such a life is wrong. She only wished for others. She did not wish anything for herself in return. Hey, Cheryl, you know, that's kind of how you are with yourself a lot of the time. You know, pot kettle. She worked so hard, but nobody knew about it. That pisses me off. Yeah, that's... To an extent, if I didn't know better, I would say that's the hero mentality of, you know, you don't care about the people liking you, you just do the good thing because you want the people to do good, to be good. And that's the same mentality you have, in a sort of weird way, not quite. It's a subversion, but, yeah. That's just too unfair to her. Because she's a woman, because you like her, or because she's just a person that you like. Or, Dash, dash. That's right. If she worked harder than anybody else, she should be rewarded the most. That sounds like, you know, what's that term? What's the society we have right now? What's the term for it? But it's, you know, it's not quite that. Because, you know, if you work super hard and you pass on to your kid $1 bajillion so they never have to work a day in his life, do they deserve to have a happy life? And happy, easy, super... I mean, they deserve to have a happy life. Everyone deserves a happy life. Do they deserve to have such an easy life? Because their parent did that. They went out of their way to do that, but they didn't earn anything. And then what about when they have their kid, and their kid has another kid, and you get to a certain point where they don't even realize that maybe their great-grandfather was poor and made a bunch of money, and doesn't know that the struggle was there, and becomes, you know, snooty about it, without knowing that they came from, you know, dirt if you go a few generations back. What about that? Anyways. I don't even know why I'm kind of talking to myself in circles. Yeah. She should be rewarded the most. I don't think that's a wrong mentality necessarily. I think working hard and more, you should generally be rewarded in some way. But, mediocrity? I don't think I'm talking about mediocrity. Oh, mediocrity? I don't think so. I don't think that's the term I would use, but... anyways. I do think those who work the hardest should be rewarded the most, but... well, there's kind of a scale. Because, you know... I think the schooling is a little flawed at the moment that we have that leads you towards your career path. So that's an issue, but... theoretically, I think those that do the hardest, most work should be able to potentially get the most rewards. But, you know, anyways, that's a whole kind of can of worms I don't feel like opening right now. Even though I already sort of did. I lightly cut the seal open with a knife, but I'm like, I don't want to go the whole way and rip it open. Too much of an inconvenience. I'll put it back in the fridge for now. Open it later. Thank you for the bit. She has to be rewarded for all the things she's done. You work hard so you can have a bit. Dash, dash. But, what can be done now? Can I just tell her that she did a good job? Praise her that she was great? Of course not. I mean, you could. Such easy words won't fix anything. Do you think that because of yourself? Because you know yourself? I mean, you don't really know yourself, but you think maybe subconsciously you know yourself? You know that wouldn't work if she tried that with you? Then again, you've never gotten to the point of people giving you much praise for things like that because you haven't gotten to the point of doing those things because the praise that you want, but you're also scared of getting the praise, but... There's only one answer. Okay. That's right. If she's to be rewarded, her life must be repaid. What do you mean? By giving her her wish? Is that what you mean? Is your wish for her to get her wish? The girl called Artoria has to become happy in proportion to how much she has fought. Okay, I mean, there's plenty of people that fought that much. I'm pretty sure this is biased, but you know, I guess, you know, you could argue maybe she fought the mostest. But I'm sure there's plenty of people that still, you know, a lot of those heroic spirits still fought a lot, I'm sure. And also fought for good. Maybe they weren't as great as her. Maybe she was the bestest, I don't know. But just because they're not the bestest doesn't mean they deserve to become, you know, happy to some extent. Well, you did say proportion to how much she has fought. Okay. But what can I do? I mean, you have the Grail, you have a wish, but that's kind of a selfish way to use it. I'm gonna wish just to make them... I mean, it'd be better than no wish. It'd be better than wishing for a supervillain. But, you know, I guess it's not bad to... It's not a very heroic wish. But you could be like, I wish Artoria was spoiled for all the deeds she did. You know, but then there's the hypocriticalness of her wanting to spoil you, but will she get through to you? Maybe she kind of is starting, I guess. My train of thought stops there. I don't know how to make people happy. Because you yourself don't know how to be happy? That makes me realize my own distortions. Oh, fuck! Oh, shit! I don't know how to make people happy. That makes me realize my own distortions. Well, there you go. It's starting. The first step is realization. I've been living trying to be a superhero, but all I've been doing is lending people a hand. Uh-huh. That's all you know how to do? Or you're afraid of doing more and it not giving you that feeling of vindication? I believed everybody around me would be happy if I helped others like that. But do you really know? Just a little bit of help like that, you know, just a quick bit of help in everyday life. Sure, they might have that small happiness, but being happy in a big way, if you don't know how to make others happy, you know. First step is make yourself happy. Then after you make yourself happy, then you help others be happy. If you don't know how to make how yourself is happy, then helping others be happy is, you know, you shouldn't. You stop it. Be selfish. You shouldn't start being selfless till you know how to be the selfish. So you know where to draw the line on the selflessness? Debatable. No. Oh, no. I couldn't move forward with pride unless I believed that. Ah. You hoped that those little things were enough because you didn't know what the fuck else to do? Okay. Alright, I like it. This is fitting for the song to be playing. It seems kind of unexpected, but I guess Saber did, give us the talking to, a stern talking to, and we had a big flashback, so a big Saber dump. Dash. Helping someone and saving someone are essentially different. They are. Helping someone is still great, but it's not the same thing as saving someone. Also, saving someone generally means they need to be saved. You can help plenty of people that never need saving. But there's the hypocrisy in that. There's because to save someone, someone needs to be saved. And someone will always need to be saved, pretty much. But theoretically, if we lived in a great world where no one needed to be saved, then wanting to save one, the want of saving someone, wouldn't get you anywhere because you'd have to put someone in trouble to save them, that kind of whole thing. But I can't think of a way to reward Saber because I don't know the difference between the two. Huh. Interesting. The breakfast table is the same as always. Definitely interesting. Shiro saw himself in Saber, and that made it easier to be self-introspective. Because she was the king and he's the superhero. That kind of whole song and dance. Alright. Let us... What are we doing? Right. Make a save. Self-realization, oh boy! It's like all he did was help people little bits, but at the same time, he was constantly training. But I feel like the training was an excuse to tell himself, I'll get to the actual saving later on, but didn't really know how, or maybe was afraid of doing it and it being anything, and so just kept doing the training, along with helping people a little bit by bit, and being like, I'll get to it eventually, and never have to actually get to it, maybe. Looking at his waifu's past could fix his own problems. I think that Saber is especially on point there. Well, saving his waifus from themselves might give him the sense of vindication that he needs, that he desperately desires. But Saber specifically seems to... because they do have very, very similar shades, it seems to be maybe what's giving him the self-reflection, which is arguably the most important thing. Got a Sonic ad, 2 Amazon show ads, an Old Spice commercial, and an O. Henry. O. Henry? I like O. Henry. Old Spice. Ooh, I wonder if this Amazon show is like anime? Interesting. Sonic movie, yay! Anyways. The breakfast table is the same as always. Saber and Tosaka must be adaptable, as they already seem to be used to Ilya's presence. I mean... And, these are all people that weren't... at the start of the game, Shiro already had 2 women constantly in the house. Taiga and Sakura. And neither of them are here, and yet we have 3 women in the house. Fucking jeez.
で、あんたはどうするのよ、シロ。
What are you gonna do, Shiro? You gonna go to school? You gonna start going back to school? Or you still just, gonna be fucking with Saber?
残るマスターは3人。聖杯戦争だって期限がないってわけじゃないんだから、そろそろ行動に移らないとまずいわよ。いつも後手を踏むってのも情けないし。
What are you gonna do, Shiro? There are 3 masters left. It's not like the Holy Grail war can go on forever, so you should start acting. It's pretty pitiful to always give others the initiative, first of all. You said you don't believe yourself to be out of the fight, so there's more than just 3 masters. Second of all, pitiful to always give others the initiative? Of course you'd say that, because if you're, hating, being impatient, wanting, make the first move at it. Well, not always make the first move, just you want things to be happening. Shiro, though, has very much been laid back about this and only ever reacting to bad masters, even trying to convince himself that bad masters aren't bad, like Ilya and Shinji, for example. If either Taiga or Sakura noticed how fucked Shiro is, I bet Sakura was too busy dealing with her own problems that being Shinji, assumedly, to notice Shiro and his deep-rooted issues. And Taiga, I think, is a little too irresponsible to notice. Even though she means well, I don't think she's very good at doing the whole parent thing. Anyways, pretty pitiful to always give others the initiative. Yeah, I think Shiro, I don't know, like, you mean the temple thing, right? Because I'm not gonna go looking for, like, I'm not like you, always on the hunt or whatever. Grumble, grumble. If you want the initiative so bad, you go look for someone and report it to me, since you said you still want to be part of this fight. Tosaka is right. Is she? Or are you just saying that because she's a waifu and it's Valentine's Day? Does Japan do Valentine's Day? I don't remember. I know they do Christmas, and they have that as their, like, romantic day. They might also do it. I'm not sure. We'll find out when we get to 214 if they mention it at all. I mean, we won't, necessarily. But if they don't mention it at all anyway, then it probably means it's not hugely significant in Japan, even if Japan has it in some places. My body is fine, and Saber is healed. Yesterday should be the last day of rest.
そうだな。けど行動を起こすにしてもそれは夜からだ。日が昇っているうちは今まで通りにする。
You're right, but even if we are to act, it'll be in evening. We'll do the same thing as always while the sun's up. You mean fighting Saber? Like training with her? Going to school? Like, I mean, I guess you could do that, but... yeah, I don't... It's Valentine's Day, I totally forgot. You know someone's single. Well, not always. Even couples sometimes, I guess, just don't care. To me, it's just any other day, whatever, that I enjoy spending with my waifus and husbandos. Generally waifus. I remember that it was Valentine's Day this year, though, because, thanks for the other bit, the heart bit. I remembered this year because of the Sonic movie, because people kept talking about how, oh, I'm gonna go see the Sonic movie on Valentine's Day. Usually I forget that it's Valentine's Day, but...
本気？まあ相手の情報がないんだから闇雲に出歩いても仕方がないけどさ。じゃあシロは今日もセイバーにいじめられるわけ？
Seriously? Well, I guess it doesn't do any good to walk around randomly when you don't know anything about your opponents. Then you're gonna get beaten up by Saber again? Getting beat up by Saber is his favorite thing. But also it gives him a chance to be with Saber more, which gives him a chance to maybe try and, be like, hey Saber, you're cool. You're good and stuff. And the thing is, that's the thing. He wants to reward her somehow, and yet he doesn't realize that he's saved her from her, he's saved her from her hibby-jibbies already. She's very much opened up to her emotions and wants Shiro's penis. Probably the best way is, to get a little hanky-panky, if you know what I'm And the worst way would be to constantly tease her, and all of them. But then again, you don't realize that they would like you enough, even though you have, kind of the hanky hornies for all of them, and they have the hanky hornies for you, but the only ones who sort of made a move at all is Ilya, but even then, she's only made it in, like, we're best friends, not necessarily, hey, do you want to fuck? Training with Saber. That's the usual task, and it's natural for a master to prepare for battle.
リン、私とシロが行っているのは鍛錬です。今の発言は人聞きが悪すぎます。
Getting tutorial, even though you didn't want it at first. Rin, we're training. That comment sounded unpleasant.
いや、まあそうだな。午前中は今まで通りセイバーにしごかれるよ。
Well, yeah, pretty much. I'll get beaten up by Saber in the morning.
シロ、あなたまでそのように言われては私の立場がないのですが。
Shiro, you put me in a difficult position if you say that as well. Yeah, but like, you're having issues with that, aren't you, though? So, are you okay now? Seems like we never fully resolved that, because if you're still having issues, maybe I should skip the beat-up session. Then again, maybe that's just what you want to, put you in your comfort zone. We should maybe get you out of your comfort zone by beat up all day. Get beat up by you all day? All day, every day. At least until it's fixed. Will that fix it? Will brute forcing it fix you?
いや、悪いセイバー。ぼーっとしてて聞いてなかった。
Huh? Sorry, Saber, I wasn't listening. Of course.
ですから、リンの言いぶりは乱暴すぎるという件です。
I'm speaking of how rudely Ren talks. Really? confrontational because you're territorial about your matches because you now also want Shiro's penis. Whereas before you were pretty okay with Rin, but now it just comes up because of the emotions of the territorialness of the fighting training thing.
まったくどうしたのですシロ。今朝は覇気が感じられません。朝食もどことなく彩りに欠けますし、
Honestly,
昨日も遅くまで蔵にいたのですか？
what is going on, Shiro? You do not seem well today. Arguably, he's better than ever. Breakfast is a bit smaller than usual as well. Were you in the shed until late last night? A, yes. No, because he went to sleep in his room, unless someone brought him there. You might have. B, the breakfast is smaller because I was thinking about how to, save people and not just help them. And giving you a cool breakfast is sort of helping you, but not necessarily saving you. Although there could be a niche circumstance where someone feels like there's nothing to live for, and then they eat your cooking, and it's the best thing ever, and they decide that's worth living for, in which case you could save them, but would never really know you saved them. You would, but, unless they tell you. I wonder if Saber saw any of Shiro's memories besides the fire. Ooh, like maybe she saw more of the black thing that I think he's repressing in his own memories, possibly, maybe, possibly. She asked, but Saber's words aren't criticizing. They look criticizing based on the expression of her face. I can feel that Saber believes in me. That's why it's even harder to look at her now. If I do, the image of that hill pops into my head.
わかりました。後ほどカツを入れて差し上げます。
Fine. I
そ
shall
れでは
drive
今日
some
も道場で鍛錬をする。
energy into you
いいで
later.
すね、シロ。
So we'll train in the dojo today as well. Is that the plan, Shiro? Uh-huh. Hopefully you're over your hibby-jibbies. If you're not, we're really gonna have to address that today. But if you are, then maybe you just needed a day to sort out your horniness.
ああ、頼む。イリアはどうするんだ？
How about you, Ili? You want to watch again? She probably hates the watching and wants to actually, wants to hang out more with, Shiro beyond just watching.
私も昨日と同じだよ。雨に濡れるのは嫌いだから外に出たくないわ。
I'll do the same as yesterday. I don't like getting wet in the rain, so I don't want to go outside. Yeah, rain is, I'm not a fan of the rain either. I like the snow on the ground. I don't like it necessarily when it's snowing, but I enjoy the snow on the ground, as it were.
そうか。そうしてくれると助かる。できればイリアには家にいてほしいからな。
I see.
外に出るのは危ない。
That's a big help. I want you to stay in the house as much as possible. Going outside is too dangerous. I have to protect my, shit. I know this. No, I don't. I heard it a lot. I heard the term a lot when I was watching frickin', nope, I forgot the name of it. Wait, hold on. I know this. Domestic girlfriend. Right. But the term. Hold on. Little sister. Damn it, I know this. Japanese. Fuck. Damn it, I know this. Nope, shut up. English. Japanese to English. No, reverse it. Little sister. Emoto. I knew that. I knew Emoto. I always knew Emoto. I didn't forget. Shut up.
昨日みたいにお弁当作ってくれるなら一緒にいてあげてもいいよ。
I'll consider staying with you if you cook box lunches like you did yesterday. Just box lunches? You want anything more fancy? You'll consider staying with me? Don't you want to spend all your time with them? Is this you playing a little hard to get after the initial blunt day of yesterday? It seems Ilya liked the box lunch yesterday. She probably would have liked whatever it is you make because you're such a good cook. I'm a bit embarrassed that she's content with such a thing, but I'm happy if she's happy. Probably because, your parents making your lunches for you when you go to school is kind of like a normal thing. And maybe she had that but she didn't really go to school. She was maybe she's heard about that kind of thing. And so you making a box lunch for her as if that was a thing that could have happened might be a thing that has happened. So, that's another thing. Now that we're like best friends and all that, and she likes me so much, I wonder at what point, if any, she's gonna bring up some naughty stuff. Like, she clearly knows things about things. I don't know how many things she knows about, but at the very least, I'm pretty sure she is aware that I'm related to Kiritsugu and all that fun stuff. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that's why she wanted to kill me initially. She came to the town. I wasn't even necessarily going to be a master, and she went straight for the kill. Unless she sensed that I was secretly an evil heroic spirit underneath, and she could tell that because of her magical stuff, and that's why she had the instinct to kill me. But I'm pretty sure it was because she knew about the whole Kiritsugu, and that made her all ragey. Which means at some point I'm pretty sure she's going to confess that to me now that we're like friends and stuff. I would assume.
なんだ。それじゃあ昨日と同じってことね。
I guess it'll be the same as yesterday.
私も調べ物があるから部屋にこもるけど、午後になったら顔を出しなさい。ちょっと話があるから。
That's a contradiction. You contradicted yourself. I have something to research, so I'll be in my room. Come by my room in the afternoon so I need to talk with you. You said last time that, like, our stuff is over, so fuck off. More or less. Probably less than more. But, okay, so we're not going to be training, but you want me to waste my time instead of training on my own, going to your room so we can fuck? Something you need to talk to me about. And you're blushing when you're saying it. Maybe you do want to fuck!
調べ物ですか?
Research? Researching something related to the other masters, or researching something related to sex.
そう。セイバーなら分かってると思うけ
Okay,
ど、
temple.
昨日から竜道寺の様子がおかしいのよ。
Yep, I think you've realized, but Ryudo Temple has been strange since yesterday. Is this has to do with the cold? The overly cold? That's right, because it's overly cold. Does this have to do with the caster and the thing? And is this caster's doing has made it super cold? Is that what's the whaty what?
あれだけ精力的にやってた魔力集めも止まってるし、何か動きがあったのは明白でしょ?
They've already stopped. That means they've finished whatever they're doing probably, which is bad because means we waited too long to. I mean, we were busy, but still we waited too long, and now they're ready to do their big final flash, and so it's going to be that much harder to stop them from doing their final flash, which will be bad. Whatever their final flash is. I mean, it's called Final Flash after all. They've stopped the magical energy collection they've been working so hard on, so it's only natural to assume they're doing something. I think the super cold weather is related to Caster, but it would just seem fitting. I don't know.
まあ、残ったマスターの中で一番厄介そうなのは竜道寺のやつだしね。
How would you
近い
know?
までもこしらえて中の様子を探ってみるわ。
Well, it seems the master at Ryudo Temple is the most troublesome one, so I'll make a familiar and try to find out what's going on inside. How would you know? How we talked to Ryudo earlier about how there was like a problematic woman that he was falling for or something. Now, there's the idea that maybe he's the master of Caster and the problematic woman is the woman. The problematic woman is the servant, but I don't think so. I think Ryudo is an innocent bystander. I think it's a woman duo. If I had to place my bet, I think the Caster is a woman duo. But, I don't know. The most troublesome. The way you're talking about that, are you just saying that because it seems the master? Is that because you've done some research and that's why you're saying it seems the master? Because, or is it just because they've gathered up a bunch of energy and that's why they're troublesome? Feels like you know things about things or something about things.
それでしたら探索に専念した方がいいのではないですか? 無理に時間を割いてシロに享受する必要はないと思いますが。
Then should you not concentrate on the search? I do not think there's a need to take time off to teach Shiro. Actually, that's exactly what we talked about yesterday. She was like, I'll do my own thing. I don't need to teach you anymore. And yet we're still going to talk today for some reason. So what's the change in attitude, Rin? You realize you didn't want to drive me away because you don't want to stop me from having sex?
まあそこはそれ。悪いけど我慢してちょうだい。私もね、まだ危なっかしくて放っておけないのよ。
Yeah, she wants the sax. Well, that's just how it is. Sorry, but bear with me. He seems unreliable, so I just can't leave him alone. Frickin', I mean, yeah, but sword birth, and you told me not to do sword birth, you jerk. Gosh, I'm becoming more reliable with my sword birth that you told me not to do.
敵に殺されるのならいいけど、魔術をしくじって自滅でもされたら、死として面目がないでしょ?
It's fine if he gets killed by the enemy, but if he dies because he messes up his magic, I'll be ashamed of his teacher. But what do you mean messing up my magic? You didn't fucking teach me anything, except that I shouldn't do sword birth. I mean, you taught me to strengthen better, I guess. But like, As far as messing up my magic, you didn't teach me anything to theoretically mess up, unless I decide to do sword birth and it fucks me up. If that's what you mean by messing it up, I...
はい。リンの言う通りです。
Theoretically, you're not wrong. I just don't think you've taught me anything that I could theoretically mess up. It's just as you say, Ren.
私はどうかしていました。リンの授業が必要ないなんて、どうして思ってしまったの
There
か。
was something wrong with me. I do not know why I would have thought your lessons were unnecessary. I know why. It's because Sax and jealousy. Now that Thomas said Sax, all I can say is Sax over and over again. You both want to play the saxophone with Kira. I've been rereading Death Note. You both want to play the saxophone with Shiro, but you know, there's only 2 saxophones to go around, and you know, you can't all use saxophones. I mean, you could, but you'd have to share sax, if you know what I mean. So, you know.
その理由は簡単だけど、まあ知らぬが花ってことで。
That sounds like sax. The reason's pretty simple, but it's best not to talk about it. Okay.
それじゃあ午前中の鍛錬頑張ってね。そいつ頑丈だから死なない程度に痛めつけるぐらいが最適よ。
Good luck with your morning training. He's pretty tough, so it's best to beat him within an inch of his life. I mean, you say that, but then you're not fucking, you know, you're not gonna let me use sword birth. You're fucking hypocrite. How dare you? You still seem awkward about that, Saber. Tosaka leaves the living room with an absurd comment. I mean, that could just be a fun joke, but the fact that that makes her itchy makes me think she's still having issues about that.
セイバー、言っとくけど、遠坂の言い分なんて本気にするなよ。
Saber, don't
あい
take
つ
her
は
too
セイバーの打
seriously.
ち込みを受けてないからあんなこと言えるんだからな。
She's still only saying that because you've never beaten her up. Well, I mean, you did almost kill her the one time, but, you know, it wasn't beating her up. It would have just went straight for the kill. There is a difference. I remind her just in case. I don't know why Saber's so happy, but, because you complimented her or praised her or something her?
はい。分かっています。指導の体に関してなら、私の方が熟知して
I
いますか
know.
ら。
I know your body better than her. Yeah, yes. Yeah. It's funny because you're horny, but don't realize the extent of your horniness. But you also would get embarrassed about the horniness because you didn't want him seeing peeping on you. And yet this is something you're not getting embarrassed about, being proud about. But if you were aware enough to know the horny signs, you would probably not say that because that is very sexual. She replies like that.
どうしました
Oh, that's close.
食べないのですかイリアスピール。
Skipping straight to that, so is there any issues with the training or is it going well? What's wrong? You're not going to eat Ilias veal?
昨日に比べると、まだ3割にも届いていませんが。
You've not eaten a third of what you ate yesterday.
違うよ。こっちのは食べられないの。私辛いのはダメなんだ。
No, I just can't eat this. I can't eat spicy food. Oh, I kind of like spicy food so long as it's in moderation. Which is interesting because she also doesn't like the super cold. So she doesn't like the super cold or the super hot, it seems. So she, you know, she has to be in the comfortable middle. She's just fragile to conditions like all that. What does playing the saxophone have to do with growing horns? Ha ha ha! That's like a joke. Tom, you and your jokes. If I didn't know any better, I would think there might be 2 of you that your jokes are so funny. Because just one person couldn't come up with such funny jokes. The joke for the YouTube audience is that Tom's Tom is Tom's Tom too. So that's why, you know, I said there was 2 of them. You get it. Anyways.
はあ、そう辛いとは思いませんが、この香辛料は鶏肉に合っています。
I do not think it is that spicy. This spice is very good with this chicken. Could I psychoanalyze this food eating? There's obviously the idea that, well, she likes anything I cook because I cook it and she wants my dick. But then there's the idea that she's so, you know, been fucked by life, as it were, which Ilya has too, but in a different way. That she is accustomed to the spice. Although this kind of food is all new and different. The food that they would have had back in the olden times would have been very different. Not that there wouldn't have been spicy food, but I guess it's all new and unique, whereas Ilya's probably had some of it. Even if Shiro might do it much better, she's probably still used to having good food. It's just different food. Maybe the reason she liked it so much is because it was more homely than what she's used to, but still good from Ilya's perspective.
ま その代わりそっちのイチゴの食べてあげる。
Ooh, she seemed to like the sweets. I'm not a fan of strawberries personally. I do like mustard. I don't like mustard. Just eat it for me. I'll eat your strawberries instead.
何をするのです、イリアスフィール。
What are you doing, Iliasville?
こら戻しなさい。それはダメです。甘いものが欲しいならリンゴのパイがあるでしょう。
Ugh. I'd say I'm not a fan of apple pie. I'm just not a fan of pies. Unless they're the pizza variety, I just don't care much for pies. Return that. You cannot have that. You may have the apple pie if you want something sweet. Ellipses. Sitting next to each other, the two of them are fighting like close sisters. Haha, it's so cute. But wait, if they're like sisters, and she's kind of my sister, then that means Saber is my sister, which means it's all incestual. Incestual harem, yes. A domestic girlfriend. I gotta get back to... I gotta read the manga that at some point. I started to, then I dozed out of it. I finished the anime, but you know... and I think it left off in a good way. It, like, tied itself in a nice little pretty bow. But I know there's more in the manga. So, I'm trying to read the manga. Or, I mean, I was, but I haven't recently. But I will, again, in future. Because, yeah, anyways. It's past noon. We three are eating lunch together like yesterday. I will say, I generally don't like, you know, romance stories that are focused on the romance. But Domestic Girlfriend is so spicy. It's so, you know, it's so spicy that even though it is, you could argue largely about the romance, it's so spicy that, that I can enjoy it. Because of the spice. We three are eating lunch together like yesterday. Oh yeah, the lunch isn't the only thing that's the same as yesterday. The training before this was exactly like yesterday's. Oh, that's a problem. It was more awkward today. Okay, that's a problem. I don't know how to put it, but my heart starts beating hard when I see Saber and I can't attack her seriously now. Oh, you see, that's the problem she had with you. Interesting. So her dream of the fire fucked her up a little bit. Or unless it was just riding her dragon that did that. And then you dreamed of her problems, and now that's fucked you up. And now you can't hurt each other, because you see how much hardships each other have had. It's a spicy hot flaming dumpster fire. It is not a flaming dumpster fire. Okay, look, that's fake news. Giguk made a video about how it was a flaming dumpster fire. And I checked it out because of that. I was interested in how terrible it was. It was a curiosity of how bad it actually was. But it wasn't bad. It was just good and spicy. It was spicy and good. It was not bad. It's not bad. It's just good and spicy. But I was expecting it to be more of a dumpster fire. And so I was slightly disappointed that it was just kind of spicy and good. I was expecting it to be much spicier to the point of being a dumpster fire. It was not spicy enough. It was not hot enough to be what I would consider a genuine dumpster fire. It was just some nice spice. And now I like it. Now that I came to accept that it was just a good spice, but I was expecting it to be... It's Domestic Girlfriend. That's the anime I'm talking about. And it also has a manga. But that's the point. The point is that I went into it because of Giguk's video saying it was a dumpster fire. And I'm like, that sounds fun. I was going to watch it as like a junk food. But then I ended up just genuinely liking it. Because it's not a dumpster fire. It's just good. And it gets spicy. And I don't consider that fire-ish. Dumpster-ish. Anyways. I guess it's different people define it different ways. But I was disappointed. I wanted to be more of a dumpster. I mean, a fire. I mean, man, I just want to spoil the fuck of them to not hit them. Shiro Saber. Uh-huh. Basically, back to Fate. Saber is also acting strangely as she never used to overlook such openings. But now she waits for me to attack, and for a while we just stared at each other. Yeah, this training is seeming pretty bad. Giguk did say he liked the show. Yeah, but it was fake news. I was expecting it to be like a dumpster fire that had a hidden heart of gold. It's just gold that's spicy. There's not enough dumpster. Too much spice, not too much fire, not enough dumpster. Is the problem? I mean, I still like it, but it was fake news. Because I thought it was going to be more of a dumpster fire than a dumpster fire, if that makes sense. It's not a dumpster fire, it's a dumpster fire. Anyways, I don't even think there's really much of a dumpster there in the first place, but you know, word choice. we just stared at each other. Like, if you want, to me, an example of a beautiful dumpster fire that I'm a big fan of, I forget the name off of the top of my head. Oh man, I don't want to look this up right now. Fuck it, I'm in the mood. What was it called? Shoot, I forget. Nice Boats. You know what I'm talking about, right? Hold on. Nice Boats. Anime. Gosh, what is it? Nice Boat. School Days. That's it. School Days is a beautiful dumpster fire. I love it. But I think, A Domestic Girlfriend is just genuinely a good show. Anyways, I'd argue that School Days is also just genuinely good in a different way. Anyways, it's all perspective and depends on how you define certain words. For a while, we just stared at each other.
二人ともどうしたの？見ててあんまり面白くないよ。
The point is, it's good to ride dragons, and it's almost as good to ride boats. What's wrong? It's boring if you don't do anything. I renewed my spirits with that and attacked Saber, but the results were the same. After repelling my half-assed attack, she would not counter and let me go. That's good. Or, no, that's bad. As I wasn't attacked, I would face Saber again and charge again, and she would overlook me again. That's bad. This strange time ended about 10 minutes ago. At Saber's request, we entered the lunch break, and we're eating lunch now. Again, Saber requested it, just like last time. School Days is infamous. I mean, yeah, it is. But, like, that's kind of why I like it. To be fair, that's the thing. You see, I went in, I heard it was terrible, and I thought, that sounds interesting, and I loved it for how terrible it was, if that makes sense. I think it did something so unique with how, like, I don't even want to call it bad, because I liked it. I can see why someone else expecting it to be something else would think it's very bad. But I went in expecting it to be basically exactly what it was, and I loved it for that. That's the thing. I went into Domestic Girlfriend expecting it to basically be like School Days levels of bad, if that makes sense, if we're using the term bad that way. But it was not. It was just good, and I was disappointed because I wanted it to be bad. Now I like it just for being good, but I thought it would be bad. Anyways, we're eating lunch now. The menu is the same as yesterday. Sandwich. But I couldn't just make the same thing as yesterday, so I elaborated on the ingredients, and it seems they really like it. Ilya's in high spirits, and Saber caught her breath, faced with the multicolored sandwiches. Elaborated on the ingredients. Except, wait, they really like it, except that frickin' she doesn't like the spicy? Maybe one part of it they don't like. Sandwiches. Illy's in high spirits, Saber caught her breath, faced with the multicolored sandwiches? Wait. Multicolored? Like, what do you mean? Usually bread is just, bread. Unless you mean, you got, you got your rye bread, and I don't know enough bread names. You got your plain bread, you got your whole wheat bread, you got your insert bread name here, and they're like different shades, but they're all like beige-ish, right? Unless you mean multicolored because did you food color them, or do you mean like some of them have tomatoes, some of them have lettuce, and that's like red and green, and some of them have mustard and that's yellow? Is that what you mean? They gave the boat treatment for, I have not seen that. Oh, I know about that. Interspecies reviewers. Yeah, I heard about that because Funimation was doing that show, but then they stopped because it basically became straight up porn, and they generally they're okay with risque stuff, but they draw the line at straight up porn, it seems. And the manga, I think the reason they did it, a couple people have made videos about it, but it seems likely the reason that they did that was because they thought, based on the manga, it looked like it wouldn't be straight up porn. But the manga talks a lot about things that the anime just decides to show, which makes it kinda porn. And so I'm not surprised that they did something so risque that they would do the boat treatment, but Ilya's in high spirits and Saber caught her breath, faced with the multicolored sandwiches. I'm just guessing, but I think Saber must have been getting ready. Anyway, it's much louder today than usual. I think Saber must have been getting ready. Oh, must have been getting ready? Really? Ready as in ready to actually fight you properly? I don't know. It's raining outside and the floor is cold wet, but I think this feels like a picnic. That's nice.
ああ、もうそこまでです、イリアスフィール。
Geez, that's enough, Iliasville.
それでは服が汚れてしまう。まったく、シローの真似をして一口で食べるからそうなるのです。あなたの口は小さいのですから、もう
Close.
少しおとなしく食べるべきでしょう。
We'll get dirty like that. That happens because you tried to eat in one bite like Shiro. Oh, just trying to emulate her big bro Shiro, but Shiro's got a bigger mouth. He's also got a bigger body. Your mouth is small, so you should eat more slowly. Yeah, but she can't lose. A, she wants to emulate her big brother, but also, you know, she's got that pride aspect, you know. Just because I'm small doesn't mean I can't do it.
分かってないのはセイバーの方よ。こういうお弁当はね、お行儀を気にする方が失礼なのよ。
I think I'm on Ilya's side. You're the one who doesn't understand. It's even more impolite to worry about manners at a lunch like this. Yeah, I think, you know, worrying about manners is too proper. When you're eating with friends, you just gotta pig out. If you're worrying about manners, that's only for putting up appearances, like if you're at a public place. If you're worrying about manners in a non-public place, then I think that says something about the people around you with their expectations, or your expectations yourself, which you gotta drop, and just be yourself, and eat in weird ways. Funny did an anime because they thought it was not hentai, but the anime became hentai? Yeah, basically. Because the manga wasn't hentai. They just had a lot of descriptive terms about what happened, and then the anime basically decided to show those scenes, and they were pretty, you know, they got pretty lewd. Much lewder than the normal fan servicey stuff they do. Which they do a lot of it, because it's popular, but, you know, they draw the line at, you know, they draw the line at interspecies reviewers, it seems.
これはピクニックなんだから、こういう風にするのが本当なんだよね、シロ。
This is a picnic, so acting like this is correct, right, Shiro? Oh shit, do I have to choose? Ilya munches on the sandwich happily. No, I'm not gonna have to choose. Or am I? Saber wipes Ilya's mouth.
くすぐったいってば、セイバー。
Now this is becoming a little lewd. That tickles, Saber. In this case, it's much better not to show it. You can think dirty thoughts. It's just Saber wiping Ilya's mouth. But you know, what if she wipes it in a dirty way? Hovers over the force chat to go on topic button. What is with modern anime? Just do a hentai if you're gonna do it, and make shows that are good separate. I mean, yeah. Interspecies is a special case though, because the manga, you know, didn't go full hentai, but it did with its words, and it's apparently okay to do that with your words, just as long as you don't show it, or something. Anyways. Oh shoot, the Saber and Ilya bonding is real. She looks all red and stuff, blushy. Ellipses. It's a bit surprising. It's not just Saber, as Ilya trusts Saber more than she did yesterday. Uh-huh. Ilya already wanted to be Saber's new, master if it came to it. So it's good that they're bonding. I guess Rin has just accepted the fact that she won't be, Saber's master, which more than ever means that Rin is gonna have to try hardcore to try to steal someone else's servant.
驚いた。拒否しないのですか、イリアスフィール。
I'm surprised. You do not reject me, Iliasville. I mean, why would she? You're the one who initially rejected Ilya.
なんで？私、優しくされるの好きだよ。
Why? I like being treated kindly. Oh, because Saber killed Berserker. You could also argue Shiro killed Berserker. They kind of killed him together. It's complicated. Sister bonding gives me life between Artoria and Shiro. Artoria and Elia. Type Moon did go full hentai and stopped. Probably because, more people are okay with the hentai as long as it's not full hentai, I guess. For example, the censored version of the VN that we're reading. Twitch TOS.
他のやつが私に触れたら殺すけど、セイバーは綺麗だから許してあげる。
Interesting. If anyone else touches me, I'll kill them, but I'll forgive you since you're pretty. What? If anyone, that's wow. Maybe because you have such a delicate body, you're sensitive to the temperatures. Maybe you're sensitive to just touch in general. Maybe that has to do either with the way your body is. I know your mom also was similarly sensitive to some extent. Maybe, but I don't know. Usually when I think of if someone touches me, I'll kill them, that signals rape to me, rape backstory, but I think this is a bit of a different case. I'm still thinking if anyone's was getting the rape, it was Sakura, but... Elia confirmed bi. You can think other people of the same gender are attractive without being bi, I'm pretty sure. I think other men are attractive men, but I'm definitely not a bi, but... Or am I? I don't think so.
それに、今は同じお弁当を食べる仲間だもの。セイバーが私のこと好きなら、私もセイバーのことは好きよ。
And you're someone to eat lunch with. If you like me, I like you too. Daw, I like you too, Elia. You're pretty, and you're someone to eat lunch with. It's great. You're being a little bit, a little bit picky that she's pretty, but I mean, I think, servants are generally bound. I think that's an excuse to compliment her. I think the real thing is that, she's Shiro's servant, so, I mean, she's Shiro's servant, but you also probably would have got a little mad if Shiro's servant was more wackily-dackily than she is, but I think, in general, probably the appearance wouldn't have mattered that much, I don't think. You seem to look at her as a big sister, motherly figure, in which case I don't think the appearance is that important, but I think you're just saying that to compliment her. It's interesting that Saber is so surprised about this. Maybe it is rooted from the fact that Saber killed Berserker, and so she's not sure if Saber should be forgiven, given all the bad things Saber had to do as a king. She's like, do I deserve forgiveness from Elia? And also, I mean, Elia kind of came after us, though, so that's probably why it shouldn't be that big of an issue. But I guess because Saber is so deep-rooted in the whole being a king and being used to being bad to people and not expecting the forgiveness, expecting to be betrayed, that when people like her, Shiro kind of liked her too, so Shiro definitely likes her, and now she likes Shiro, so. Elia says so simply. Because for her it is that simple, because of her purity. Dash, 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 dash. Saber looks at Elia dumbfounded. Now you can see why I took a liking to her. I mean, I took a liking to her even before that. I'm just talking about in-universe, why Shiro took a liking to her. I, Renegade, took a liking to her back when she was a bad girl, because, I like the bad girls, but... Elia's smile was a surprise attack even for me, who was watching from the side.
何？セイバーは楽しくないの？
What? This isn't fun for you, Saber? Maybe Saber feels like... Maybe she feels bad. Like, because she did work with Elia's mom in the past, like, she felt a little like she was betraying that by going after Elia in the present. She was doing it for Shiro. Maybe she felt like a sort of betrayal there, and so she's not sure if she deserves to be forgiven, even though, Elia doesn't know that, or I don't know if Elia does know that, she doesn't care, clearly, but...
いえ、それは。
well...
私は楽しいよ。外は雨で、ここはこんな殺風景な場所で、欲しかったものは何もない。
I'm having fun. It's raining outside. This place is too simple and I have none of the things I wanted, but Shiro's here. So that's good. It's good that she's able to accept that she has none of the things she wanted, but Shiro's here, so she can have fun. Make do with what she has.
けど、こうしていると嬉しいの。一人でいるよりずっとずっと暖かいでしょ。
Being here is
なの
fun.
に セイバーは楽しくないの？
It's much warmer than being alone, right? But you're not having fun? I think in that sense, I think all of them have the loneliness factor to some extent. Rin not having the parents, Elia losing her parents and feeling, even though she had her grandparents, she always felt like she didn't have anyone to really relate to. Saber having to isolate herself. Shiro really wasn't totally lonely, but he, had his own issues. Ilya's sad but nice. Fucked family revenge. Dashed ejected from family, lost war and servant, but she found a place to be. And she, she's like, oh, who cares about the old place? This place is fine. Backstory makes the first bad end sadder because she would have accepted Shiro betraying her by refusing to fight. She would have accepted Shiro betraying her by refusing to fight. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Well, that was the first bad end. I think of the first bad end as the one where Ilya kills me, and it is, but it's also the one where I say, Saber, you're gonna have to find someone else. And Saber has the whole thing of, you're gonna be betrayed, and she got betrayed again after frickin' Fate Zero happened and failing, and yeah, it was already bad because she failed in Fate Zero, but... Dash. Yeah, Saber, try to have those simplistic feelings. Wear them on your chest every now and then. Just come forward and say you like Shiro. No, Ilya wouldn't like that. Or would she? I'm pretty sure Ilya wants my dick, but I don't know. It might be just a brotherly thing. I think she wants my dick. She must have felt something in Ilya's smile. Saber lets out a deep sigh and stares at the white girl.
そうですね。私もこうしているのはとても楽しい。
Aww. It's nice seeing Saber smile like that. I mean, we see Ilya smile like that a decent bit because of her purity, and it's nice, but we see it a decent amount. Whereas, Saber, it's more of a rarity, so it's more precious, more to be savored. Being like, this is fun for me as well. That's cute. Look at that. Ilya's already doing a better job at at saving the women from their problems than Shiro did. Well, no, that's not true. Shiro did help save Saber, but Ilya's like the next step. A clear voice. She smiles in a way I've never seen before. Dash. Oh shoot, your heart. You're going like, oh no. Oh no. Oh, I see. Because you're like, how do I make Saber happy? But then Ilya's good at making Saber happy, and it makes you go, no. How do I do that? Or it's like the red beat makes me think you're like feeling a little bad about that. Because you see that and it makes you happy, but at the same time, there's probably this feeling of Ilya's making her happy. How do I make her happy? How can I ever make someone happy? And you don't get it. Which is interesting. And I think that's part of why you're feeling bad. Even though you have made her more happy. You just haven't been so blunt about it because you yourself didn't realize you were doing it. You're not having fun? Being this is fun for me as well. It's easier for Ilya to save Saber now because Saber is too busy pitying Shiro. That's true, so it's harder for Shiro to do it because Saber's so busy, They're pitying each other. It's good for outside people to intervene, kind of like how Archer intervened when I was, trying to think about all the women penises. He comes with his man penis and solves it for me, or something. What? Dash. My heart feels warm for some reason. That smile was good. Okay, so it's mostly just good. But the red beat was... Oof, that was a big heartbeat. If that... Crack a blood vessel from how happy you were? Blood vessel? That smile was for herself. So it can't be for herself when you make her happy? It has to be for herself when someone like Ilya does? Not a smile from watching over someone's safety. Yeah, I see. Yeah, which applies both to you and Saber. That is good. So you gotta learn more about how to smile yourself for not watching over people, like, saving all of the women gender from themselves because, the cruel world, because they're the typical damsel to be saved, as it were. A smile because she is happy yourself. How often do you smile because you're happy yourself, Shiro?
シロ、どうしました？そんな顔して。
Oh, is he smiling?
何かいいことでもあったのですか？
Shiro, why are you making that face? Something good happen? I mean, you could argue that, he's not necessarily interesting. A smile for watching over someone's. You see, that's interesting though. It's slightly different because Shiro isn't smiling for someone else's safety. He's smiling for someone else's mental health, which is still arguably their safety, but not physical safety, emotional safety. And her emotional safety being better is making him smile, which is better than always worrying just about the physical safety. But it's still not quite the same thing as smiling for himself.
いや別に何もって今変な顔してたか
No, it's nothing. Wait, was I making a strange face?
うんしてたわ。お父さんみたいな顔。遠くからこっちを見守ってますって風なの。
Yeah, you were. It was like a fatherly face, like you're watching over us from afar. I'm sorry, and you're all mad about that because you want me to be closer?
私そういう顔は嫌いよ。
I don't like faces like that. Probably because your actual father went and left you and then never came back, and that was kind of awkward. I don't understand what she's talking about, but does that mean I was smiling? So, the good with the bad, the good with the bad. Shiro just living vicariously through the people he loves to get some emotions. I mean, if that gives him emotions to use for himself later on, then that's something. But, I mean, if all he does is live through others, and that's, start being happy about yourself, man. You can just be happy about things and stuff, I guess. Please? Have you tried having the sex? A lot of people say that makes them happy, not everyone. But, a good percentage. Of course, the problem with that is you need a reciprocating partner, and he doesn't think he's worth having a partner that would actually be reciprocating if they weren't, hurting themselves in some way, which is problematic. So he needs to be a little more, the self-loathing is still a big issue, but...
そうかまあいいことがあったからな
I see,
つい
well,
にやけちまったのかもしれない
something good happened, so maybe I was grinning.
はあ、いいことですか？
Something good?
そうだよセイバーは今みたいな笑顔のがいいそれが見れてよかったって
Yeah, I like the kind of smile you just made. I was just glad I got to see it.
難しいですね。そんなことが嬉しいのですか？
I do understand. You like such a thing? Let me guess, she's also been thinking about how to make me happy? Probably, because, we're so similar and all that. And she was telling me to not go down the same path, so that's probably one part of it. Maybe she was also thinking about how to make me happy, and was like, wait, you like such a thing? Me being happy makes you happy? It's like a cycle. You being happy makes me happy, but me being happy makes you happy. It's like a cycle, but it has to start somewhere. From us being happy from someone else, and then being happy for each other. Because you were being happy for Ilya, not for me, but... I assume Shiro having sex would just worry about their pleasure and not his own. God, that's fucked! But, yeah.
だな俺セイバーのそういう顔を見るのが好きみたいだ
It seems I like seeing that kind of expression on you. To be fair, though, if they got to the point of sex, then I think they would get to the point of being a little blunter with each other, whoever his theoretical sex partner is. And I think once they get to that point, the other person can just say, no, you're doing good. You're good at this, Shiro. Or, maybe they're not. There are some people that need to hear that they're doing bad, but he's not one of those people. He really needs to hear that he's doing the good in this case, even if he kind of sucks. Tell him he's doing good. Worry about fixing him being maybe bad at sex later. If theoretically that was to happen. But... Saber nods, still not understanding. Then, she must have realized something as she smiles and raises her head. Oh, I didn't expect this her to realize. Oh, they're really starting to realize each other and that they're like each other. It seems like seeing that kind of expression on you. Saber nods, still understanding. But she also likes knowing that her people are happy, and he likes knowing she's happy, and then she's like, oh, she must have realized something. She smiles and raises her head. She's like, oh, you like it when I'm happy, like how I like it when other people are happy. So that makes sense. So me being happy more might make you happy. So that's one way to make other people happy again, because she likes other people happy, so herself being happy would make them happy. So if she can figure out how to do the happy, which I think she's figured out based on Shiro's prodding.
そうですか。 それでは逆ですね。シロ。
I see. Then it's the other way around.
逆って何が？
What do you mean? What, it should be the servant that's happy when the master's happy?
私はあなたが笑顔でいてくれた方が嬉しい。あなたが笑っていられるなら、私はそれで十分です。
I'm happier if you're smiling. It's enough for me if you can keep smiling. Get a room! I mean, you already had, Mott's magical organ transplant, dragon sex. Throw a D in there somewhere to get dragon in there. But, you could try the real thing. You could at least try the French kiss. I don't know why it has to just be French. I mean, it could be, Japanese, since that's where you're living. It could be British. It could be English. Wait, English is British generally. But, I think of English being one of those, stuck-up Canadian people who lives in a place where my English isn't normal British English. I say English not as British. I say British is British English. But I know you could say English is British English, and I should just call it American English. But it's not even American English. It's Canadian English, which is like half British, half American. You can keep smiling. I can't look directly at Saber. I bet anyone would overheat if they were smiled at like that. Somehow I calm myself down and sneak a peek at Saber. Oh boy, and she's smiling back? Oh god. Saber's returned to eating with a calm face. Oh, she's not smiling back. Or is she eating with a calm face in your direction? There's no unease in her expression. Does that mean your training is fixed? Have we fixed the training because you understand my feelings too now? There's nothing to worry about, but something is nagging at the back of my head. Which part? You mean the fact that you haven't checked up on Sakura? Is that the nagging thing or something else? Because you were nagging... The Sakura thing was nagging at you earlier when you saw Saber nude. So we never got over that. Do you think Saber and Shiro has had sex already in the uncensored version yet? I don't think so. Based on how things are going, I'm pretty sure no. I mean, they had the dragon sex, but I don't think they've had any real sex. American kiss. To me, an American kiss is just a kiss because I'm a Canadian-American.
私はあなたが笑顔でいてくれた方が嬉しい。
I'm happier if you're smiling. Uh-huh. The self-realization, but also the other self because of your self-realization. Yes, with that smile I saw for the first time. She was saying something entirely contradictory. Because she was not smiling at me smiling. She was smiling at what Ilya said. But, it was still something Ilya said that, she was smiling about Ilya complimenting herself. Even if you can smile at someone complimenting yourself, you can still be happy when someone else smiles. Or something. Something. But that's the thing, Shiro. You need to be happy also not just being the happy because of the other happies. Uh-huh. Oh, shoot. I listened to the rain in Tosaka's room. Today we performed a fake physical examination like yesterday. A fake one? I just took the medicine Tosaka prepared for me and checked the magic circuit throughout my body. Again? Why? I don't care about that, but I don't want to just sit here doing nothing. Okay. She told me not to move for a while to see the results, but I bet I can still talk. Okay.
Tosaka, ちょっといいかな?
Tosaka, may I? May he what? Find out next time on... No, what? I call out to her, still meditating.
いいけど何よ。
Fine, what is it? Now find out next time on... No.
セイバーのことなんだけど。
It's about Saber. But what is it about Saber? Now find out next time... No.
なんて言ったらいいかわからないんだが。
I don't know how I should put this, but that's where we're gonna end it. Because we got a but. Demosa. So, another screen with no music, but I can still use the sex screen. It's because it's on the same layer, right? Anyways, so this has been the Renegade of the Larry Butts variety. No, of the 67 and or 68 variety. This has been Fate's Day Nights. No, just one night. Or, well, it's technically Fate's Day Night, but it's Fate's Day Nights. There's multiple nights and multiple days. We're on like day 13. We're almost in day 14. You sped through this day pretty quickly. I almost got through one day in a whole fucking session. You're welcome for the stream. So, yeah, stop recording. Goodbye. Still don't have an outro phrase. Stop recording.